Welcome to RE Uncut. Our daily shows are supported by Printforce, Sure Agents, Rockend and CoreLogic.
This week in the show, we're following the incredible journey of Daniel Argent from Urban X and the experiences he gained during the GFC that we need to be applying right now. He identified yesterday about mindset and the activities, but he also realised once he started on this journey that there were a couple of key things that he would need to understand on the journey. He identifies those for us today when we come back.
Your business card is a vital selling tool and a constant visual reminder of who you are, what you do, and more importantly, how you can be contacted. Introducing our new Velvet business cards, featuring a luxurious premium laminate that has a velvet texture and is soft to the touch. Printed on a resilient 450 GSM card, these cards can be printed with a range of spot gloss and foiling options to give your office that prestigious look.
Welcome once again to Daniel Argent from Urban X. Daniel, thanks again for your time. This journey that you were on back in the GFC days, and we're learning so much about this, I think you identified here that no matter how tough the market got, you realised there were two reasons why any property won't sell. Tell me about those.
Yeah, Kevin, it didn't matter how tough things got. There were only two reasons why every single property wouldn't sell. And I knew as long as I focused on those two things, I could move any listing. They were price and presentation. And so for me, I would always start with presentation because that was within my control. And so I would actually get the owners and take them out to basically the footpath. And we'd take a notepad and pen and we would write down everything that a buyer was going to see from the moment they pulled up. Now, look, Kevin, I don't know about you, but I've bought quite a number of properties over the years, and I pretty much get a feeling whether or not I'm going to buy a property from the moment I pull up outside. I think, first impressions matter. And so I would take the owner and we would stand on the footpath and we'd say, right, what's the first thing a buyer's going to see when they pull up? Okay, well, the grass in the footpath's not looking so good. Let's returf that. The front fence is faded or cracked or whatever. Let's repaint that. Okay, now let's walk down the pathway. All right, so the gardens are looking a bit tired. Why don't we remulch the garden bed? Why don't we put in some more plants? Why don't we, add a few different features here and there? Why don't we gurney the driveway and gurney the footpath? Okay, let's get to the front of the house. All right, the front stairs, when was the last time they were oiled? 2 years ago. All right, well, they need redoing. Let's re-oil those. The outside of the house is a bit dirty. Let's get a high-pressure external clean done. Right, let's go inside. I'd look at the presentation of the furniture. Let's get rid of all of the family photos. People want to walk into their new home and see themselves living there, not you living there. So let's get rid of all of the family photos. Let's declutter. Do we really need, 8 chairs in the living room, or can we actually make it 4 chairs and make it way more spacious? Let's get rid of all of the stuff off the bedside tables. I mean, basically room by room by room by room. In minute detail, Kevin. Let's clean the fans. Let's clean the door tracks, like everything, right? And by the end of it, we had this substantial list of work that needed to be done. And can I say, Kevin, every single one of my clients wanted to do that work because they knew that if we nailed presentation, we had a much better chance of getting a premium price. And so what I found was that there was a 10-to-1 value ratio. If my clients would spend $5,000, just as an example, on getting their property looking absolutely polished, then that would often result in about $50,000 extra in the sale price for them. And so that was the first thing that we would work on. And does that mean that every single person would do it? Every single person who went with me would do it, but maybe I'd miss out on 5% of listings because I was so thorough on what the presentation needed to be for me to take on board that listing. That was just the standard that I put in place because I did not want to be managing poorly presented properties. Well presented properties then photograph better. If they photograph better, they look better online. If they look better online, they attracted more inquiry, and more inquiry led to more buyers through the door, which led to more sales.
Yeah, can I make a point on presentation here too? And that is, I agree with everything you said, by the way. But there's one other thing that good presentation does, and that is that it effectively sells the property quicker. And at this time, people are looking for a quick answer, a quick transaction. I've got to move this property on. We've had a recent experience, Carol and I, where we had a property that we'd had as a rental for well over a decade. It was a little bit run down, so we spent some money on it in a fairly tough time. I got to tell you, it's around about now. It's only been a couple of weeks, but we actually secured 6 contracts on that, I think it was, in a period of about 2 days, and it had everything to do with the presentation. So do not let go of that. I think that's a very important point.
Yeah. Look, it's a great point, Kevin. And can I just say, within our business, we have 26 agents operating on our platform at the moment. I'm across every single sale that happens, and the majority of those sales are happening in the first 7 days. Yeah, from the time a listing goes live, the majority of those sales are happening in the first 7 days. After that, everyone who's in the market has already looked at it, taken a sniff, and either acted or left. And really, after that first week, the only way to, if you've already nailed presentation, if after that first week you haven't got it sold, price adjustments become the major focus. So, the time to present
the second part of this equation, isn't it? It's the second. Sorry to interrupt. It's the second part of this equation where you've got presentation, you've got price, and price is the next key thing, because every property sells. It all comes down to the price, and the presentation will actually lead you to getting an even better price. But every property sells. Just get the price right.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kevin. And so this is why I worked on presentation first. I don't want anyone listening to or watching this thinking, Dan just reduced properties to the point at which they'd sell. That wasn't the case at all. My major focus, my number one focus, was presentation. And I can categorically guarantee I did more work with my owners on presentation than any other agents in the market. I mean, the lists of work that I asked them to do were extensive, and it made every property absolutely glow. And I knew that I could get premium results in that first week by doing that. But ultimately, after that, if they weren't sold, if there's only 2 reasons why they won't sell: price and presentation, and I've nailed presentation, then it literally just leaves price. And so after that, I would just work on price every single week until I had aligned my sellers to the market. Now, again, I was not doing the wrong thing here whatsoever, because I knew for a fact that the longer a property sat on the market, the less it would get. In fact, data came out from, I think, RP data at the time, showing a clear correlation between time on market and percentage reduction in price. So I knew that a small reduction early on could actually equal a sale. If we didn't make it, we left it 2, 3, 4 weeks before we started adjusting price, it was going to be a much bigger reduction. So, Kevin, basically what I would do is I would have listed on the whiteboard that I was running, or, back then it was a whiteboard, now it might be something different, all of the properties that I was representing. And I would have the address, and then I would have the price. But next to the price, which was the owner's price, in brackets, I would have my price, or the price that I knew it needed to be. And of course, that was just information for myself. I would never sort of share that with anyone else, but I would talk to the owner about that every single week. And so it kind of gave me something that I could focus on. I might know that I've got, a house at 123 Example Street listed for $1 million, but in brackets next to it, I've got written down 950. Now, I know that that's where that property needs to be, and that's based on my experience, recent sales, and feedback from buyers. And so now I've got a clear focus on what I need to talk to that owner about every single day or every single week. I know we're at $1 million, but we need to be at 950, and here's the reasons why. So it kind of gave me like clear focus or a clear goal for every single listing that I had as to where it needed to be. And I knew the quicker I could align it to the market value, the quicker it would sell, the more money I would actually get for that owner. And that was Daniel, the process that I...
Let me ask you a question. You talked there about $1 million property and its real price should be $950. I've got a feeling that you're probably even being a bit over generous with $950. In this current market, mate, if a seller wants $1 million, it's likely going to be around $900 or even $850. So, they're tough days. And I've actually been through those, like you. And that is a very tough message to have to deliver to a seller that in all reality, they may actually be getting a lot less than what they paid for their property. That's a hard message.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin, can I just say two things? Number one, a lot of agents wouldn't actually deliver the message. The number of listings that would just sit online for a very long time, and the agent just wouldn't have that conversation with the owner. They were doing that owner a disservice by not having the conversation, because by the time I might step in 2 or 3 months down the track, that property right now it might be from $1 million to 950, Kevin, but in 3 weeks' time it might be $1 million to 900, and if you leave it 2 months, it might be $1 million to 850, like you said. So I think today it's probably $1 million to 950, but in 3 weeks or 3 months it might be $1 million to 850. So I knew that I was doing the right thing by my sellers by having those conversations, and that's how I could have them. Yes, they were difficult conversations. Yes, they led to tears. Yes, they led to fights, but I knew it was the right thing. And can I just say, at the end of the process, every single owner thanked me so much for guiding them through it and not just leaving them to flounder in the market. I mentioned to you before, I would write down the price of every listing that it needed to be next to the price that it was, just on my own internal recordings. And I would spend about 10%, just to give people a clear indication of where to focus your time. I would spend about 10% of every day on price corrections, and I would spend 90% of my time every day on getting more listings. So that was about my ratio of how I spent my time every day, Kevin.
Great stuff. Tomorrow, Daniel's going to share with us the big change, the very big change that took a lot of guts, and we'll come back tomorrow and talk to Daniel Argent about that. Daniel, thanks for your time. Talk to you tomorrow, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
The daily RE Uncut shows are supported by Printforce, Shore Agents, Rock End and CoreLogic. RE Uncut is one of the anchor shows at retplus.com, the home of property.